must learn to love your brothers and sisters. That your days may be longer. Hey, that your days may be longer. Longer and this land.
Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Zaine, and I'm coming on to bring a very transparent and personal message, but it's also one that's going to allow me to get into some of the things that you all need to hear right now. Now, this message is not for everybody. This is specifically for the chosen seed, but it's for those of you who's in the back. Those of you who felt like you wasn't a part of the greater whole. So this is why I'm coming in with my personal story, and then I want to get off into, because the message here is called, what do you need to lose in order to gain your inheritance? And so it's going to get deep, but like I said, it's not for everybody. So first I want to start off by saying my personal testimony. Many people wonder, well, how did you end up being where you are today? Some of you are very aware of the fact that I used to work as a registered nurse. I still have a registered nurse's license. And I did it for 5 years. Prior to that, I worked in healthcare for a very long time. That's the only thing that I ever knew, was caring for people. And so within the past 5 years, it's been rocky all my life, but the past 4 or 5 years of my life, things really started to shift. Now, you all know we're in the age of Aquarius. And so during this time, many of the chosen seed had to go through some major changes. I also want to say, before I get into this, one of the reasons why I ended up doing this particular message at this time is because during my sleep, when I was having a dream, I don't remember most of the dream, but I remember seeing flames, like just flames that went up. I don't remember the dream though. And so this morning, I was woken up out of my sleep around 3 a.m. and I laid in a bed and I had a vision in my awakened state. And it was literally flames going up. But as the flames started to simmer down, it was a bunch of gold. And so I was like, okay, there's something to this fire. So I laid there and I was going, speaking to the Most High, my spiritual team, gaining an understanding. And I started receiving all of these uploads. And I was told that you have to completely clear out, burn out everything in order to receive your inheritance. And so it was a message for me. And this is why I'm coming with my personal testimony, but it's also a message for you. So getting back to what I was saying in terms of my career path or whatnot, I was working as a registered nurse for quite a number of years. I had many children within a marriage. I had 5 children with a man that I was married to, and 1 with a man that I had been with prior for multiple years. Okay. But I had a really rough marriage, and around 4 years ago, I had one of my daughters went through some health issues. She ended up being diagnosed with brain cancer. This was around the time that I had began to awaken to my, to spirituality. I was starting to take the path. I had created my altar. I was starting to learn about energy, metaphysics, and all of these different things, wearing crystals and all of these different things, but I was still a babe in it, right? And so, I was in this energy right before she had gotten diagnosed. So when it happened, the Most High had already began preparing me with knowing that your thoughts create things. And so I was able to walk through, and we was able to get through that particular season of our life with me knowing, I had to know that she was going to be well. I had to know that she was going to be healed. And today she is healed. She's been healed for quite some time now, has the most energy. Okay. No medications, no nothing. She is 100% healthy. Okay. And I give all thanks and praise to the Most High God. But during that time, I had so many different situations that was coming at me and my family. And I ended up dealing with DCFS because when she got diagnosed, myself and my husband at the time, we did not want her to go through treatments. And so we was saying, okay, we want her to take the holistic approach. And the hospital, they ended up calling DCFS as a result of us saying we wanted to take a different approach. And we ended up going through the court systems there. It was a mess, nothing short of a mess. And so we battled with that for over about a year, okay? Finally got those monkeys up off of our back, because that's exactly what they are, some monkeys and some clowns, okay? And so once that was over with, you know, the Most High started showing me like, hey, I need you to awaken to the purpose that I have for you. I got a mission for you, right? And so while I was working as a nurse, you know, I started saying, I can't just go to work and just be a nurse. I cannot just go to work and just pass medication. I couldn't do it. So good thing I was in a nursing home that was pretty lenient. You see what I'm saying? And so I started taking my cards to work, and I started doing readings on my patients. Okay. And then I also ended up going and, you know, having like, I don't know, some people call it like a sermon. It wasn't no sermon though, but I stood up in front of them around New Year's Eve and, you know, read some biblical text, but brought in the interpretation that was given to me through the Most High God. And it was really taking me out of my shell, but it was also showing me something is shifting within you. Something, it was, you know, the Most High was telling me, I'm changing something within you. I'm preparing you for something. And so I always tell you all, one of the first things that I asked for when I began my spiritual journey was wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay. And so, and also to be shown what my purpose was. When I tell you I had to burn out, everything, destructive energy came in when I asked for these things. Okay. Some of you might be wondering why you're going through the things you're going through. So this is why I'm bringing this message to you, because I want y'all to hear full transparency from me so that you can see that there is light that you're walking into. You're coming out of a dark space, but this is part of the season. This is a part of the transformation. It doesn't look the same for everybody though. This is just my personal testimony. And so I ended up, you know, taking some losses. Like during that time, my car got repossessed because my daughter was in the hospital. You know, I had to be at her bedside for almost, you know, 2 years. It was about a year and a half that I was at her bedside. And so working was not even something that I could do. And being married at the time, you know, I still had the income coming in from my partner at the time, but that was very shaky. Okay. And so my credit went, whew, okay. I went from 700 and something to out, you might as well say zero, okay? Lost a lot. And so the great thing though is that I was still in the energy of gratitude and praise because I knew that things was changing for a reason. So I ended up, and I remember kind of, you know, even when my car got repossessed, y'all, I still remember being in this energy of gratitude and praise. Like there was no point in time that I was angry, upset, or sad. None of that. Okay. But this is the energy that you have to embody in order to overcome, like being the eagle in the eye of the storm. So while those waves is, you know, and that wind is swimming around you, you still maintaining your peace right there in the center. And so I knew the importance of doing that. I knew the importance of maintaining my faith. That's real faith right there. Okay. And so fast forward, I was still having many marital problems. Okay. I've been having marital problems since the beginning, but it was getting worse. And my spouse at the time, you know, things just didn't work. It didn't work. He had to go away for a while. Okay. And when this happened, I ended up having to take all of my children. I did get a car, but it was a regular car. And I'll tell y'all about that in a minute too. This is going to be a long testimony for those of you who wonder. It's going to be a minute. Okay. So stick with me. If you find that just stick with me. So the car that I had, it was literally a 4-door car fitting myself with, you know, 5 of my children at the time, because I had to leave behind my oldest son, which that broke my heart. But I had to do it because I had to relocate from the state that I was in to a completely different state. Now, when this happened, I ended up taking all of my children, one-seater, you know, they all squished in like little sardines in the back. This is the car that I was driving around for over 2 years now. And so I took them from the state that I was in all the way to another state to go and live with some family members. Okay. The family members that I moved in with ended up telling us after a couple of months, hey, the landlord said you got to go. Mind you, this is right after COVID hit. Okay? Listen, this thing gets crazy. This was right after COVID hit. I relocated to another state. My intentions was, okay, I'm going to go here. I'm going to transfer my nurse's license to this new state. I'm going to work, save up my money, and we're going to get a place, and everything is going to be happily ever after, right? Me, myself, and my 5 children until I'm able to get on my feet and get back to my oldest child. And so I get out there. I had no ID. I'm talking about I couldn't find a state ID. I couldn't find a driver's license. Drove way out there and had no ID. How did this happen? Only the Most High God. Okay? Only my spiritual team. So when I got there, first of all, I couldn't even apply for my nurse's license to be transferred because I had no identification. So I started going through all of these ringers. I'm talking about I was stressed out. I cried a few times like, well, what am I supposed to do? I have no idea. I kept trying to send back for, to the state that I had just left. Like, okay, can you all, find a way to do this? Because COVID was going on. So all of the offices was closed. It was hard to get in contact with people. This went on literally for over a year that I had no ID. But mind you, in the midst of this, I told you, after a couple of months of staying with these family members, living on a couch, I had to bring my own couch into their home. Me and my 5 children slept on not a sofa, but my love seat, okay? For a couple of months. And when they came to me and said, well, my landlord said y'all have to leave because we're over the capacity. It's too many people here in this apartment. First of all, I questioned how authentic and true it was because at that time, COVID had literally just struck. And so it was like they wasn't putting nobody out at that time. But this is what they said. And so I had to roll with it. So me and my children, they took us to a motel. These family members took us to a motel, and prostitution, drug dealing, fighting. I saw it all there. All of that energy, that low vibrational energy, people in their carnal nature, that's what I was surrounded by. But when I got there, actually while I was driving to this motel, I remember giving praise. Like I was crying and singing and giving praise to the Most High God and just gratitude that change was happening. Even though it might not have been the most comfortable change, I knew that change was happening. And so even though I kind of felt some type of way towards those family members, I knew that the Most High was doing something, getting me out of a particular environment so that I could start to really focus in on my gifts, because that's one of the first things I did when I got there. And so I ended up going on my Facebook and I started doing readings, because I had already been reading my cards, using them for myself. And like I said, I used them for my patients when I was working as a registered nurse. And so I got on Facebook Live, first time ever, got on Facebook Live. I had to push past my fear because I had a strong fear of speaking in front of people. Remember, I was a strong introvert for many years, but I was coming out of that energy. And so another thing that I ended up losing was my beauty. Okay. And that might sound vain, but that was something that I ended up having to lose at that time. I had lost a lot of weight. I'm already not a big woman. I've always been smaller, but I had done a 40-day fast. This happened right before I ended up leaving the state that I was in. I had done a 40-day fast. And so I had lost a lot of weight. But when we ended up moving to this motel, I had lost even more weight because at this point we was eating out of a microwave. And this lasted for months and months and months, okay? And so tuna fish, anything that I can put inside the little baby refrigerator that they had. And all the while, I was still giving praise to the Most High. I got on Facebook Live. I started doing readings. And, I would charge a little bit here and there for people to get readings. But I knew that was not the end-all, be-all. And I kept saying, what am I supposed to do? And I kept hearing the message, keep going. Keep going. You cannot give up now. Keep going. And so I kept going. And so we went from one motel to another motel to another motel until finally I got to an extended stay motel where I had so much gratitude because at that point I had a full-size refrigerator. I had a little stove that I could cook on. And so This went on literally, y'all, for 2 years up until today. And some of you might be like, what do you mean up until today? Yes, up until this very moment, we still live in an extended stay, but I've now relocated back to the state where I'm now closer to my son, which is a blessing. Now, let me tell y'all, this is not for sympathy. This is for me to give you all the full, transparent testimony so that you can understand the depths of the changes that we as the chosen seed have been going through in this time, in this season, but it's all for good reason, okay? So fast forward, y'all. Finally, I ended up getting my nurse's license. This is prior to coming back to this state. I finally ended up getting my nurse's license in the state that I had gone to. I was transferring it to Washington, D.C. at the time. And y'all, when I tell you, as soon as I got the license, they put out a mandatory vaccination policy. Mandatory. Now, y'all, for those of you who've been watching me for a minute, you already know. It's not happening. Ain't nobody putting nothing up in this bloodstream over here. Okay? So automatically, I knew the Most High was saying, So now you got the license, but you're still not going to use it. But by this point, y'all, the Most High had already had me well into my gifts. And it had already been shown to me, okay, this is what I'm going to use you for as a vessel. And these are the messages that I'm going to bring forth through you. And this is how you're going to use the cards. And it's not about your ego. So listen, y'all, I had to die to my ego in so many ways. I had to, die to my ego concerning my financial circumstances. Like, and listen, it's like, I had to find my own self-value in the absence of material things. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. I had to find my own self-value in the absence of material things. And I found it. But I had to humble myself down. And I had to stay in the energy of faith. And I had to remind myself that my value did not come through anything that was material. It came through who I recognize myself to be. As a child of the Most High God, I am valuable. The enemy, you'll never know the power you possess, okay, when you lack awareness of the war against your own soul. And so you'll come into the understanding of how powerful you are when you are actually losing everything, when you're taking losses. That's when you start to get stronger. That's when you start to fight back. Because see, as long as you wrapped up in the matrix, and the matrix, it consists of, you value yourself based on what you can see through your natural eyes, the material things that you possess through your natural eyes, the degrees that you have, the paychecks, the clothing, the cars, the place that you live in. You value that actually becomes what actually determines your own self-value. And that's backwards. It's never supposed to be that way, but the matrix, the powers that were created it, structured it in that way, so that when you take the losses, there goes your value. Soon as you lose one thing, suddenly, you're less valuable. And you lose something else, and then you're less valuable, all the way until you till you look in the mirror and you say, I'm worthless. They say I'm hopeless like a penny with a hole in it, right? Y'all remember that song, for those of you that's around my age group or older. And so that's the type of energy that ends up, that you end up projecting out into the universe. And so many people do not overcome the losses because their self-worth goes when the things go. And so if you don't have no self-worth, you can't fight back. But see, my self-worth was actually increasing. The more losses that I took, the more value I had in myself, because it was like, for me, this is showing me that the prayers that I'm putting out there is working, but there has to be some shifts and some movement around. There's going to be some losses that I got to take. I'm going to have to die to my ego. I'm going to have to die to my pride. I'm going to have to die to fear. I'm going to have to die to lack mentality. Okay. It was so many different things that I had to come into the realization that it was in my way, spiritual blockages that I had created from within based on my external environment, based on my perception of the reality that I was in. It was an illusion. Because I came to realize that even being in one room, because some of y'all, when y'all watch my videos, you say, well, why is it so much snoring? Why do I hear people sleeping? It's because from right here where I sit, I'm still living out my testimony. And don't get it twisted, y'all. The Most High has blessed me with an overflow of abundance, an overflow of abundance. That's why I can tell you all, yesterday, I was able to go and purchase, a new car for me and my children. And I'm going to tell you why I felt good about it. Because I was able to pay cash for this car. So now we're going to have enough room for all of us to sit in. I'm going to tell you why I felt good about this purchase, though. Because the man who I bought the car from, he has such a good spirit, such a good soul. And I knew this just from walking up to him, just from the moment of seeing him. It was just something about his energy. I knew that he was a good person. And so when I was sitting in there waiting to speak to this man yesterday, I was almost in tears, not because I was getting this car, but because I was giving thanks to the Most High God that I could be used as a vessel to enhance his living circumstances through the wealth that I've been able to accumulate. Because the Most High I have not dashed a toe. We have not wanted for anything. Matter of fact, I've been able to have an overflow of abundance to where I've been able to give more than I've ever been able to give to anybody, even working as a registered nurse. So the finances is not a problem, y'all. The Most High is elevating me in many different ways, but the credit score is jacked, right? So I'm still working on that. And so there's certain barriers, but see, the barriers are also an illusion, because what I was shown is that my testimony is also a part of my breakthrough. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm bringing this to y'all, because I want to make sure that when I'm fully elevated, when the Most High places me back on my throne, which I'm already sitting on it, right? But when it's readily available for those who are the naysayers, those people who worked against me, those people who worked against you, they're waiting to be able to see something unfold with their physical eyes. In their mind, if you don't have the home, if you don't have the car, if you don't have the spouse, if you don't have, all of these things that disintegrate with time, then you haven't made it. But see, the Most High takes it all from you in the material just to show you how wealthy you are when you lack all of those things. True wealth comes from your own self-value. True wealth comes from you being able to have gratitude in even the things that most people take for granted. The Most High will take it all from you. During your transformation season, the Most High will take it all from you. And some of you it's many people that's going to be able to get on here. Not everybody, because it doesn't look the same for everybody. It really just depends on what your purpose is. But you may come on here and you might write in the comments, I lost everything. I lost my family. I lost my friends. I lost my job. I'm outside homeless. I'm in a shelter. I'm in a hotel room. I'm this and that. Everybody has a testimony of the losses that they've taken because of the times that we're in right now. So don't be ashamed of it. Don't see it as being a situation where you're being punished. It's a blessing, the transformation that you're going through. But if you can't see it through your spiritual eyes and you only looking through your natural eyes, then it becomes that much harder, and you prolong getting to your inheritance. I've done generational curse breaking, y'all. I've broken the energy of fear. I've broken the energy of lack. I've broken the energy of self-loathing or any insecurities or fear of speaking my truth. I've broken the energy of ego and pride. I've had to release my carnal nature. I've had to release so many different things during this transformation, and it has been one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. And it would be selfish of me to withhold such a powerful testimony at this season, because when I have my breakthrough, when it's evident and when it's apparent to the world and everybody is looking at me and saying, Shavi just got it all. I can't get there. And they just thinking that, oh, well, somehow you got this because you had a silver spoon, when you was born. Somehow, you just had it good, Trust me, this testimony right here and the testimony that many of you have to bring is going to be a testimony that needs to be laid out before the world. The chosen seed has to prepare to lay their testimonies out before the world, because see, it's going to be a lot of people that's going through some changes, y'all. It's going to be a lot of people that's going to have to take losses, or what they deem as losses, what appears through the natural eyes as being losses, but it's really gains if you're looking at it through your spiritual eyes. You will never know the power you possess when you lack the awareness of the war against your soul. These are messages, you know, when I woke up, these are the things that my spiritual team was telling me. That's why I'm looking over here. These are things that my spiritual team was telling me in terms of why I saw those flames go up. And then I saw the gold that was exposed after the flames died down. It's because the true inheritance can only be given to you after you lose all of those things that had a stronghold over your mind, body, and spirit. There's a lot of people, you know, I always told people in the past, I don't wear my nurse's license as my crown. That's why you wouldn't find me walking around, maybe at one point initially, when I didn't know myself. That's why it's so important to know thyself. I didn't know myself. So initially it was like, yeah, you know, I'm a registered nurse, but I was never braggadocious. I never felt like it was something where I had to look down at people, or one of those nurses that, oh, you're just a CNA, or you're just this, you know, that's just so ugly. But it's a lot of people out here that's like that. And so because I never wore it as my crown to begin with, for the most part, it was easier for me to lose it, or I didn't lose it because I could still use it if I want to, but to walk away from it and to step into my calling. I'm not looking back. Okay. And some people would be like, well, maybe you should hold on to it because listen, when you step into your calling, you step in to your calling. You take the leap of faith. When you see the fool card in a tarot deck, that fool is packing light, jumping off a cliff, looking up. So you naturally anticipate that you will not dash a toe, and that you will be well protected, and that new beginning that you jumping into is going to be one that's going to be filled with so many blessings, and so much of your inheritance and so much of your gifts and everything it's going to be an overflow. And that's exactly how it's been for me. Okay. The amount of money that I paid to stay in this room is well over what a person would pay for a 3-bedroom apartment. But, you know, there's certain restrictions that this system has in place, you know, when it comes to certain things, but even those things are not going to hold me back. Even here in one room, I've been able to create beautiful memories, because for me, it's not about being able to say, well, you have a separate room over there, I have a separate room over here, this and that. It has not deterred me from stepping into my calling and maintaining my purpose. Don't allow your situations to you know, even if you outside in the streets homeless, you can still bring your testimony to the world. You can still uplift and empower others right from where you sit. And that is the energy that actually catapults you out of your circumstances and towards your inheritance. Don't allow your situations to stop you from doing what you've been called to do, especially if you are being called to be a healer or a teacher of any sort in the spiritual world. You know, when you're helping people to go down this narrow path, step into your calling from right where you sit. That is the test. How committed are you to the process? How committed are you to the growth? How committed are you to making it to the finish line, knowing that this is not a race? Okay, we pacing it. Okay, we pacing ourselves here, but we have to keep going. We have to persevere. We have to maintain our purpose. You don't get derailed or deterred. You keep pushing. And so, you know, like I said, it's been a beautiful journey. And I wouldn't go back and change not one thing, because my gifts, I've been able to awaken my own spiritual gifts as a result of losing or what seemed to be losses of the material world. My spiritual gifts, the Most High blessed me with that infinite wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And I still haven't come into realizing the full potential of the wisdom that I've been blessed with. Neither have you. You know, it's something that you grow into and that you evolve into lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So I'm just touching the surface here. But the wisdom that I have been granted and the gifts that I have been able to awaken has been very healing and enlightening, not only for myself, but for my children, and for those of you who have been guided to come to me to get personal readings and to, seek out clarity through these videos that I make on here. I appreciate all of you who support me, okay? But I have to remind y'all, it's only the beginning. If you're going through something right now, if you're taking what seems to be losses in your life, you have to look at it as being
love your brothers and sisters. That the days may be longer.